wonderful book, the Song of Solomon, and we've been learning so many things that God's Word teaches us about the relationships that we have. And throughout this month, we started by looking at the attractions we have. And we asked the major question, who are we attracted to? And who is attracted to us? Because one of the things we learned there was if we look to God's Word and we find out we are attracted to folks who are just like us. So if we're looking at who's attracted to us or who we're attracted to, and we see that that's not exactly what we should be attracted to, then we realize it's we who need to change. There's something inside of us that needs to change to be more what God would have us to be. And then last week we took that relationship a step farther. We went from being attracted to one another to dating. You know, we've taken that attraction, and from that attraction we see the lovers in the Song of Solomon realized that, you know, this was probably the one that, or they felt this was the one God wanted them to marry. So they began the dating process. Well, we took it from just being attracted to, hey, I believe this is the one God has for me. So they began dating. They've been going through that process. And from that we saw some important things about dating. We saw, number one, that dating needs standards. You know, God's Word showed us here there were standards. You know, she set standards for her man. He set standards for his woman. And dating needs to have those standards. Another thing we saw was dating needs to have accountability. You know, their dates wasn't in secret. Their love at this point wasn't in secret. She says, I'm coming to you with the veil off. I'm coming to you so that everybody will know that you're my man and I'm your woman. And as she comes in that relationship, there was no secret. They wouldn't hide anything. They weren't putting themselves in a place where things could happen that shouldn't be happening at that point. So we realized that there needs to be accountability. But one of the things I think was probably the most important that we saw as we looked at what the Song of Solomon teaches about dating is we saw that our world has it all messed up. Because from God's Word we realized that dating is not mating. Well, we realized that in that dating process, our world says, you know, oh, it's just, you know, the mating comes with the dating. But God's Word teaches that mating is for marriage. And it's not to be a part of the dating process. So we took that relationship from being attracted to one another to where, hey, you know, we feel this is the person God has for us. So with that, then we begin the dating process. Now, we're going to take it even just a little bit further. But as we get ready to go there, I want you to realize that we have to learn the truth from God's Word. Because our world has it wrong. Our world has our marriages, our lifestyles all messed up. If we follow the way of the world, we realize that we're just going every which direction. But in God's Word we see it goes from that attraction to, hey, I believe this is who God has for me, so I'm going to begin that dating process. And today, as we go into chapter 2, they're getting ready for marriage. So I said, well, they're finally getting married. They've talked about their love for one another throughout that first chapter. It's going to continue into chapter 2. You know, the thought process, the fantasizing, so to speak, of the love that they have for their lover. And now, they're finally getting married. Now, as we begin to look at it, a couple things I want to remind you of, that those of you who've been here so far through this month, is we're looking at Hebrew poetry here. And Hebrew poetry, they just don't quite talk and think like we do. So we have to kind of look at what the words say and decipher what it actually means. You know, there's a lot of things in there. I challenged our guys on that first week that we looked at it to compare their wife, as he does in chapter 4, to her hair like a goat coming off the mountain. Her teeth like a flock of sheep, all nice and clean and shorn. You know, and some of our guys did. You just can't teach them anything. But you know, but as we look at the Hebrew poetry is different. Let me show it to you here in our passage in chapter 2. And look, in verse 1, she describes herself. She says, I'm the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valleys. Verse 2 says, and the lily among thorns, so's my love among the daughters. Now, here's how she's describing herself. I'm the rose of Sharon. I'm the lily of the valley. Now, let me take you back to chapter 1. In like verse 5 or something like that. And she's telling her lover, she says, oh, don't look at me. I've been out in the sun working. I'm scorched with the sun. I'm all sunburned. I don't look good. Just don't even look at me. But now as we go through this poem, she's realizing that this man loves her. And even though she may not feel that she's beautiful, she didn't want him to look at her because she was all sunburned from being out in the fields and working. Well, she says, now, I feel like the rose of Sharon. I feel like a lily among the thorns. And that's how she described it. And now that's Hebrew poetry. And we look through that. But now we're taking that Hebrew poetry. And we went from the time of an attraction into the dating process. And now in chapter 2, they're starting to talk about getting married. And as we look at that, I want us to see some things about getting married. She's done changed her view. As I thought about her in chapter 1, said, oh, don't look at me. I'm ugly. I've been out in the fields. I'm all sunburned. Then in chapter 2, she says, I'm the lily in the valley. My wife has already determined that this whole month she's in trouble. So I want to tell you, the first time she ever fixed a meal for me, do you know what she fixed? Spaghetti. First meal she ever fixed for me, spaghetti. Now, every single guy knows there's only one way to eat spaghetti. You stick one into your mouth and you go, and if it's not from here to here, you didn't properly eat it as a single man. And up until this point, every time I'd ever ate spaghetti, you stick one in your mouth, and if you left the noodles one minute, they're slapping you in the ears. I get there, and I actually got there before Holly did, and her roommate says, she's fixing you supper, we're having spaghetti. And I went, uh-oh. How do you eat spaghetti? Well, her roommate was there, her roommate's sister was there. I grew up with these two girls. And one of them says, well, what do you mean you've ate spaghetti before? I said, yeah, but not in public. I eat spaghetti at home with a towel. So they start showing me how to eat spaghetti. One of them took their knife and their fork, and I don't know what they did, but they twisted it all. I never did master that. Another one, they'll just take the fork and spin it. Well, I don't know, that may work for you, but when I took the fork and spin it and I lifted the fork up, I just had a ball still in the plate. I don't remember how I ate the spaghetti, but I knew it took me so long. Every girl in the place was finished, and I only still had to have a plate full. But you know what? Over time, when I realized my wife loved me just as I was, and she really didn't care how I ate, well, she does a little bit. Eating spaghetti in front of her wasn't near as hard as it used to be. If I need to go get another paper towel, a whole new roll, she still loves me. Here, what she's discovered is he loves me. And that love has led them from the attraction to the dating to now they're finally getting married. Let me give you a quick outline of part of the book of Solomon. Don't worry, we're not going to stay here and look at all this. But chapter 2, they're kind of planning the wedding, getting themselves ready. Chapter 3 is actually the wedding ceremony. Chapter 4 in the book of Song of Solomon, that they've now gotten married and they're consummating the marriage. Just in case some of our teenagers don't know what consummating is, they are making love for the first time on their wedding night. So I'll tell you what, wait till we get to chapter 4. We'll get there in a couple of weeks. It's going to be so much fun. But they're ready to get married. As we break down through chapter 2, I want us to think of 3 important things. 3 things that I find here that's lessons for us in our marriage. All right, how many married people do we have here today? These are folks you said I do, and it's still holding. Married people. All right. Some of you, your wives had to remind you were married. And now here's the thing I noticed. Last week I asked if you were single. And when I asked for single people, I saw half the congregation going like this. Today I asked for married people and I saw this. You're married. Get used to it. It's until death do us part. But here's what I want to do. Well, my goal through this whole series in Song of Solomon, I want to teach our young people, our singles, how to build godly relationships that lead to godly love and a godly marriage. But I want to glorify God in all that we do in our relationships. But I want us to strengthen our marriages. So today, as we look at three things that take place in our marriage, I want us first of all to see that love is your banner. If you're here and married today, love has to be your banner. Let's start at verse 1 as we read together. Chapter 2, verse 1. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. As an apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight in his fruit, was sweet to my taste. Here she's thinking about the intimacy that she will have when she is finally married to her lover. She's thinking about, she's contemplating on this love relationship because of the love that she knows he has for her, the love that she knows she has for him. She's thinking about this intimacy. But you know, she can think about that, and we find the reason for it in verse 4. Verse 4 says, he brought me to his banquet house, and his banner over me is love. The reason why she feels this love for her man is because his banner over her is love. Now this idea, we find it throughout Scripture. We find it clear back with God's people in the book of Exodus. We find it, recorded about God's banner of love over them. But, they called God, the Lord is my banner. But here, as she talks about her lover, she's, because his banner over me is love. This is actually a military picture, or military terminology. And it was that picture, as they would go, the armies would go out to fight. When they would go out, there would always be the one that would carry the banner of the army. A way that I got a picture of that was watching an old Civil War movie. The Union and the Confederates, and they were going at each other, and always in the front was somebody carrying their flag. And the thing I remember first time I ever saw a Civil War movie when I was little was watching these guys. And the guy with the flag's in the front. And as long as that flag was waving, they would follow him everywhere. They would follow him into the darkest mountains because their flag's still flying. But every once in a while, that person that was carrying the flag, they're out front, they're all they got's a flag. They're shot. And as they would go down, someone else would come along. They would drop their weapon, pick up the flag, so that the banner was still flying. Because as long as their flag was flying, the army was still fighting. Because they had something to fight for. Here, she's using this terminology. And she says, the banner that he holds over me is a banner of love. Now, looking at that, I've come up with three things this morning that shows us about the banner of love that he's holding over her. The banner that he's flying proudly that says, I love her. And the first thing that I see there is his banner of love shows that there is a promise. It shows that there's a promise. Now, again, I asked you all ago how many were married, and some of you wasn't sure, so you were kind of doing this number. And, one person, they got an elbow from their spouse, so you better get your hand up. So we're thinking about, the married, but let me ask you married folks something. When did you know that they were the one? When did you know this is the one that God has for me? This is the one that I'm going to spend the rest of my days, or as my wife says, the rest of his days, on this earth. This is the one that until death do us part. This is the one. Here's why I asked you that. Because we went from the attraction to the dating. But I see folks today, not just the teenagers in high school. Man, they got to finish high school, they got to finish college, then they're going to talk about marriage. But I see adults, we've been dating for 17 years. I had a person call me one time and says, I'm thinking about asking her to marry me. And before I even asked, would you do the wedding tomorrow? And I said, well, why are you getting married? Well, we've been together for 27 years, and I think it's time. Well, here's the thing I thought about. I know for me, when I knew that she was the one, I didn't want to stay dating for the next 27 years. I didn't want to just be together in a dating relationship. So I asked you, when was it that you knew? And you say, hey, this is the one. Because what we see here is these lovers are taking this relationship and they're going to go farther. They're going, hey, we want to be married. I know I still can tell you about that time in our relationship when I was certain. Now, the first time, I'd love to tell you it was the first date. First time I looked in her eyes, or first time I held her hand. I'm a little slow. It took me about 3 weeks. I met her in April. We went out on our first official date in May. And somewhere around the 1st of June, I knew that I knew. And it was 3 to 4 weeks into our relationship. I started saving for a ring. It took me till December to save up enough. And so I met in April, first date in May, December, I'm asking her to marry her. Or she'd marry me. Next May, we're getting married. And I'll be honest with you. If I'd have known then what I know now, I wouldn't have waited till May to get married. I thought I had to wait till she got through college, because if I waited until then, her dad would pay for her college. So 2 weeks after she graduated college, we got married. 6 months after she graduated college, guess what came in my mailbox? College bills. Man, if I'd have known then what I know now, we'd have moved that date up a whole lot. Because I knew that I knew. Guys, your girl needs commitment. She needs a promise. She needs to know that the banner that you hold over her is a banner of love. And that love is only for her. If you know that you know, then get ready to put a ring on her finger. Because that banner of love, we see here is a banner of promise. He's showing. His love shows a promise to her. But I want you to see something else here. Not just a promise, but his banner of love shows that there's protection. In verse 3, one of the ways that she describes him here is as an apple tree. And she's able to sit in the shadow of the apple tree. Now, a few weeks ago, I know, because I sat in my office and I listened, and it was funny. In Sunday school class, Pastor Nathan got a bunch of commentaries, and he took them into the youth class, and he let them study God's Word through commentaries. That's the old-fashioned way before Google of studying God's Word. Seeing what other people said, and they complain, I don't want to read this much. Well, guys, if you want a fun commentary trip, you go get the commentaries off my shelf, and you look at what verse 3 actually means. There's some good stuff there. I'll tell you what, to quote the great religious philosopher Jed Clampett, woo, doggies, that's good. But I want you to see something else. As she looks at him, she says, I'm able to sit in his shade. He's like a towering tree, and I'm able to sit in his shade. She felt protection. Why? Because he loved her. His love was so great for her that she felt protected when she was around. She felt comfortable there. So it wasn't just a promise that I'm yours and you're mine. She felt his protection. And let me give you the third thing, and then I'll show you something to kind of prove the last two. The last thing I see here with the banner of love is his banner of love shows that she is his treasure. Jump down to verse 8 in a second. Chapter 2, verse 8. The voice of my beloved, behold, he comes leaping upon the mountains, skipping upon the hills. And here she's given a picture of her lover has been away, and now he's coming back. And it's this picture of him leaping across the mountains and skipping across the hills. Why? Because he's been away and he can't wait to get back to her. She's his love. And he can't wait to get there. The next verse 9, compares him to a gazelle and compares him to a buck deer. And those two pictures, those were two of the fastest animals that they knew at that time. So here he comes, leaping across the mountains and the hills, coming to me like a gazelle or like a buck deer, just as fast as he can go. So it's that picture of love that she feels she's his treasure. But I decided to look into those animals just a little bit more. And I found some exciting facts. In the King James, the wording there is, he's like a roe and like a young hart. We don't go out and hunt roes and harts. So we put them into the words that we know what they are. They're gazelles, and it's a young buck deer. So I started thinking what a gazelle is. Little fact for you this morning. A gazelle can run 60 miles an hour. So she's looking at it, she said, he's coming to me like a gazelle. He's booking across the mountains and across the hills 60 miles an hour to get to me. But there's something else I found fascinating about a gazelle. Not just their speed. You'd think 60 miles an hour, they don't have to worry about anything in the fields, do they? And they'd outrun it. A cheetah can go from 0 to 75 in 3 seconds. So gazelles have this defense mechanism. It's called stotting. And what the gazelles do, they're in their herd, and all of a sudden one of them off the outskirts sees a cheetah coming crouching in. And what they'll do is they will do this they call stotting. And with all four legs get really stiff, and the gazelle will jump straight in the air, stiff-legged, higher than the rest of the herd. So whatever gazelle spots this danger, all of a sudden will go stiff-legged and jump straight up in the air and come back down. Now, when they look at that, they say, why do they do that? And they come up with a couple of reasons. One, it warns the rest of the herd. When all of a sudden, you're grazing in the field and one of your gazelle friends goes straight up in the air and they're higher than you are, you're going to take note. And so they said, it's to warn their friends. But another reason they come up with, that gazelle knows it can't outrun the cheetah. So it's got to fool it. When that gazelle knows, or when that cheetah thinks, man, I don't know what got into that animal, but that thing's alive and healthy, that cheetah's going to seek and ease your prey. It's a protection mechanism. She said, the banner he flies in me, he's like a gazelle coming across the hills. Not just that he's coming fast to his lover, but he's going to protect her. But then the other one she gives there is like a buck deer or a young stag, some of your translations may say. And he is just going on the trail of that doe. He doesn't think of anything else. I saw a buck one time. He tackled I-81, 4 lanes, 70 miles an hour. And when he come in front of us, his head was out, his nose was back. He was on the trail of a doe, and he thought he could tackle cars. He didn't. He didn't care that it was one of the busiest interstates in North America. He didn't care that all these cars and packs was going at 70 miles an hour or more sometimes. He didn't care that he had to cross 4 lanes of traffic. The only thing in his mind was he could smell a doe. And he was going to her. She describes her lover here as saying, he's like a buck deer. And he's coming to me because I'm the only thing on his mind. So, his banner of love shows a promise, shows protection, and it shows that she is his treasure. But I want you to see something else. Not just the banner that he holds over her as love, but I want you to see that we also need to keep the fire in the fireplace. Now for this, I'm going to need a helper. And so I've been looking at these teenagers and trying to figure out who is my helper, and Kevin Wetzel has been elected. So Kevin, I need you to come and help me. Kevin has no idea what he's about to do. But over here, at the end of this pew, there is material. Have you ever built a campfire before? You've never built a campfire before. Have you ever built any kind of fire?
Yeah. Do
you think you could?
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to get that material, and I want you to bring it right over here. Just right here, this word stage in front of. Now we don't have all day. Lunchtime is coming. Now I want you to take those materials. You see, there's wood there. There's small wood. There's bigger wood. There's paper. With those, do you think you can build a campfire?
Sure.
Okay, I want you to do that right here. So while he's doing that, I want us to be thinking of our love relationships, and I want you to see what the Word of God says in verse 7. In verse 7 it says, I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that you stir not up, nor awaken my love till he pleases. You stir not up or awaken my love till he pleases. You know what she's telling me? The daughters of Jerusalem is kind of like the friends. She's saying, don't you do things to cause my love to be stirred up when it shouldn't be. Now, Kevin has done, I want everybody to say that with the material he had, he's done the best he could here. Okay, now I want you to do one more thing, Kevin. I want you to light it. I want you to light it. Kevin, are you really going to light that in church? Why? Now, I'm not even going to ask you. Why is Kevin not lighting this in the church?
But the church is on fire.
I know, we sing set the church on fire. He was ready. If he lit this, would it stay right here? No. When you light a fire out of the fireplace, it's going to burn the house down. Thank you, Kevin. But here's the thing. She says to the daughters of Israel, don't awaken my love until he's ready. What she's telling us here is we got to keep the fire in the fireplace. Intimacy is for marriage. And she says, don't awaken that. Don't cause me. Don't give me things to look at. Don't say things to me that's going to arouse that before he's ready. And folks, for marriage, we need to know the fire has to stay in the fireplace. Intimacy is for the marriage, not for anything that comes along. Intimacy is for that time with the spouse that God has given us, not for whatever would happen. See, our world has it backwards. Our world has it all mixed up. In God's Word, it's black and white. This you do, this you don't do. But you know what the world tells us? Oh, intimacy is a gray area. You don't believe me? Movie came out 5 years ago in May. 50 Shades of what? Gray. I'm so sad that you knew that. 50 Shades of Grey. Guess what happened a few weeks ago? The follow-up come out. 50. Oh, now you even knew that too. I failed. But you know what? You know why the second one come out? Because people went to see the first one. I'll tell you what. You want to listen to what the world has to say about intimacy? Go ahead and go see that movie. You want to ruin your love relationship? Oh, Pastor Dan, I think it would help. There are specific things that God's Word tells us that does not include intimacy in marriage, and guess what? That falls into one of those categories. That is an absolute no-no. Oh, Pastor Dan, I think it would make my love life and my marriage so much better Yeah, if you want to put intimacy in a gray area, do it. But God's Word says it's black and white. And we need to keep the fire in the fireplace. Intimacy is for marriage, not for the movie theater. Intimacy is for marriage, not the workplace. Do you know what that means? That means some folks got to cut their flirt off. Because intimacy is for the fireplace. Keep the fire in marriage, not everywhere you go. If we're going to have godly marriages, we need to realize the banner that we hold over them is love. And the fire must stay in the fireplace. Well, let me give you a third thing. We find it in verse 15. Verse 15, it says, take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. The third thing we need to see is we need to get rid of the foxes. The foxes here, she wasn't worried about the foxes that were going to come and eat the grapes off the vines. That wasn't the big problem. The problem here was the foxes would come and they would burrow around through the vineyard. And as they would burrow by the vines, they would destroy the root system. And the roots would not have a good system anymore. And if the roots didn't have a good system, the vine is going to die. She spotted these foxes and she said, my lover, we got to get rid of the foxes. Because those foxes are going to destroy the root system. You know, I want to tell you something. If you haven't figured this out yet, you're going too soon. But when it comes to marriage, there's a whole lot of little foxes that want to destroy the root system of our marriage. This morning I want us to look at three really quick. Number one, it's the work fox. Do you realize that in the 1900s, we added a complete week to our work day? Because we work longer, we work more, we add another day, we add hours here, we're spending longer at work. We added another week. That was back in the early 1900s. Now it's believed that as we go into 2017, from that week that we've added 2 more weeks to our work time of the year. Just because we're constantly working more, spending more time on the job. You know what that does? It's like a fox in the marriage. It just continues to burrow around. Oh, but I'm providing for you, honey. If I didn't work all these hours, then we wouldn't be able to have the things that we do. If I wasn't spending time at work, then we wouldn't be able to have that. And that little fox is just rooting around. It's burrowing through that root system, and the work is destroying it. You know, it's not just those with a job. You know, I see marriages crumbling from, say, single moms that don't have a public job. But they're at home and they're taking care of the house, and they're doing the laundry, and they're doing the cleaning, and they're fixing the meals, and then they're chauffeuring the kids, and they're doing all these things. And it comes evening time, and hubby, he's done come home and had his little nap, and he's ready to whisper sweet nothings in her ear. And she says, I'm too tired. Work has become a fox that's constantly burned its way through the root systems of our marriage. Now I want you to notice something. Guys, I'm going to put your bride on a pedestal for just a moment. Because notice which one the man and the woman knew the foxes was there first. It was the woman. Our wives are much better at spotting those foxes. And they may come to us and say, honey, you're spending too much time at work and not enough time with me. You know what we say? Oh, you know what you're talking about. Let me keep working. Let me keep doing. Let me keep being involved in this and that and everything else. We'll be okay. There's that fox. It's the work fox. But I know another one. It's not just work that's burning around in our marriages. It's the kid fox. Our kids. Now, we're not to take our kids and shove them in a closet and lock them there in the morning so that we have time with our spouse. But how many have kids this morning? So every person with kids, you're going to know exactly what I'm saying. We need to go here, do this, come here, buy this, get this, sell this, carry this, be here. We got to do this, that, and that, and that, and that, and you just have one kid. And all of a sudden, your kids are taking all your time. Somebody asked me one time, says, what's your daily schedule? I said, well, I have from this time to this time that I can read, I can study, I can visit, I can do the office work of the church, I can do cleaning, whatever I need to do. But from this time on, it's the kids. And and our kids are so important to us. But you know, there comes that time when we're looking at our marriage and we're thinking, I know there needs to be intimacy here. I know my spouse and I have separated, but I'm so tired from all the things I'm doing with the kids. Somebody once said, I thought it was very true. Sex makes little kids. Kids make little sex. And all those folks with kids say, amen. But kids can, now does that mean we just totally ignore kids? No. God's given them to us to raise and to nurture and to structure. But you know what? Our marriage has to come before our kids. Because if it don't, our kids is going to be that fox. Just burrowing through and slowly destroying the root system of the marriage. So the work fox, the kid fox. And I didn't know what to call the other one, so I called it the self-importance fox. You know, it's the one where we really think we're more important than we are. You know, often we have this desire that, well, we just need to be important. We need to show our importance. We need, everywhere we go, we need to look important, you know, we need to look fit the part, and we get to thinking so much more of ourselves. And we get to thinking we're so important in life. And I'm determined what I believe Satan uses. It can be a great tool, but I think Satan uses it to feed that self-importance fox. You know what that tool is? Right there.
Amen.
I believe that. I believe that sometimes, and you know, how many of you remember a day and time before cell phones? How did you ever make it through life? How did you ever get through a day you didn't have a cell phone? What if somebody needed to get a hold of you? What if somebody needed to tell you that they was feeling bad today? What if somebody needed to report what they were having for supper? What if somebody needed to show where they were at that particular time? How did you get by without a cell phone? So you know what we've determined? We've determined that we are so important. We have to keep up with all that. You ever been in a restaurant? There's been times you've probably seen the Howards do this. Sit at the table across from each other going, because we're so important, we just have to answer this right now. Or we have to see this right now. I've seen spouses in the same room texting one another. And you know they do because they'll go, we've decided we are so important. So I'm going to ask you a question. At what time of the day do you put that thing aside?
23 and a half hours.
So that it's not the most important thing in your life. So that you can grow a stronger marriage. There's the work fox. There's the kids fox. And there's that fox that teaches us to say, I'm so important. I've become so important. So many people, they just want to hear from me. They want my smiley emoji or my blue thumbs up. They want my response. They need to know that I'm praying. So, honey, you just stay aside. Notice what she says here again. The little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. As we've gone through this wonderful book, almost through chapter 2 now in 3 weeks, want to be able to teach our young people, our teens, our singles, God's plan for a relationship. But you know the other thing I wanted to do? I wanted to teach them not to end up like us. With marriages that aren't what would please God. So, this morning, married folk, what's your thoughts? And what are you going to do about it? Solomon in his lover teaches us that marriage, that is the most important thing. We got to marry the fox. I don't know what your fox is. Maybe it's the kids. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's something else. But your fox is whatever is continuing to just burrow away the root system of your marriage and make it weak. And the weaker it becomes, the more it will die. So married folks, I want to ask you something this morning. Are you ready to get rid of the fox and make your marriage the most important thing except God? Young folks, I challenged you last week that if you're not already doing so, to be praying for the spouse that God has for you. And don't settle for anything less. Because let's face it, I'm going to pick on y'all for a minute. How many of you have had more in your life, more than one boyfriend or girlfriend? You don't raise your hand for your parents. You just kind of give me the little... More than two? More than three? Wow. What happened?
Boys are jerks.
Boys are jerks. Let me give you another thing. Here's what you've just told me. You're capable of making a mistake. Is God capable of making a mistake?
No.
I want to challenge you again. Ask God who it is that He has for you. And don't settle for anything less. Here's my question to all of you this morning. What is your priority in marriage? God must come first. If God's not the center of our marriages will fail. But what comes second? If it's not your marriage, if there's little foxes, it's time to get rid of the foxes. Give that to God today. We're going to sing a hymn of invitation, and maybe as we sing, you need to respond to God. You say, well, I don't want to go to the altar and pray. Right where you're at. You take that to God. Maybe you want to come to this altar and pray. You know, when we used to front of those churches at this time, like an old-fashioned Old Testament altar where we lay it out before God. And maybe you want to come and kneel here and say, God, save my marriage. Help my marriage to grow. Or Lord, help me get rid of the foxes. I don't know what God wants to do in your life. But He does. And He will let you know. We want stronger, godly marriages. What does He need you to do to have that? Father, we thank you for your word. Father, I thank you for every person here that's heard your word. And Lord, I want to pray for each one. Because Lord, you know what you want to do in their lives. So God, we just give that to you. And we turn it over to you. And we surrender our all to you. In Jesus' name we pray.